The battle over Raytheon Prime had turned the sky into fire. Thousands of alien warships filled the black void, their weapons flashing like lightning across the stars. The Valar Dominion and the Tarn Confederacy had been fighting for months, and this system was supposed to decide the war. Massive ships moved like metal mountains, launching storms of plasma and missiles. The surface of Raytheon Prime, a once green world, now burned in silence far below. Inside the Valar command ship, Vexura, Admiral Karn Valeth watched the chaos unfold from his command bridge. His eyes, cold and silver, reflected the explosions outside. "Push the flank," he growled. "The Tarn are breaking formation. Press the advantage." His officers obeyed without hesitation. The Valar were a proud reptilian race, built for conquest. They ruled dozens of worlds, and they believed no one could match their power. But they were wrong. As the fleet surged forward, a strange signal appeared on the tactical display. A small flicker at the edge of the system, too clean to be debris, too faint to be a ship. A technician frowned and leaned closer. "Admiral, there's something," she said. "A distortion near the outer orbit." Karn's voice was sharp. "Define something." I don't know, sir. "It looks like gravitic interference." "But it's moving." Karn's eyes narrowed. "Show me." The main screen flickered, showing a blur in space, like heat rising from sand. The stars behind it bent slightly, as if the light itself were being pulled and twisted. It was only there for a moment, then gone. "Probably a cloaked Tarn ship," one officer said quickly. "Their new stealth frigates can bend light," but Karn shook his head. "No, this isn't Tarn. Their cloaks leak radiation. This one is clean." "Too clean," the crew exchanged nervous glances. The Valar Dominion had seen many enemies, but none with technology like this. Suddenly, the interference returned, larger this time. The distortion widened, rippling through space like a wave. Energy readings spiked across every console. "Something's coming through," the technician shouted. "Shields up!" Karn roared. Then space itself tore open. The distortion collapsed into a shape, a massive dark vessel emerging from invisibility. It looked nothing like any known design in the galaxy. Its hull was black, not painted but made of material that swallowed light. Its angles were sharp, purposeful. It had no visible insignia, no glowing engines, no banners. It was silent. And yet, it felt alive. The Valar bridge fell quiet. The sound of machinery, the hum of power cores, all seemed to fade as everyone stared at the screen. "Identify that ship," Karn barked. "Now!" The computer processed, scanned, and failed. Every identification system returned the same result. Unknown. A communications officer turned pale. "No record in any database, Admiral. Design unknown. Energy signature unknown. Even the reactor type doesn't match anything we've seen." Karn leaned forward slowly. "Then who in the void built it?" Before anyone could answer, the mysterious ship moved. It turned slightly, its hull glinting faintly against the light of the nearest star. It wasn't large compared to the super dreadnoughts, barely 2 kilometers long, but there was something about it that made every alien instinct whisper danger. "Open a channel," Karn ordered. "Demand identification." The officer nodded and sent the transmission. Moments later, the ship responded. Not with words, but with a single burst of static across every frequency. Then came a voice, calm, steady, and unmistakably human. "This is the UNS Revenant. Identify yourselves." The bridge froze. "Human?" someone whispered. "That's impossible. Humans are extinct. For centuries, the galaxy believed it. Humanity had vanished 200 years ago, burned out in the wars of their own making. The fall of Sol was legend. Machines turning on their masters, planets consumed by fire. The last human transmission was a desperate plea for help. None came. Their worlds went dark. But now, here was a voice. A human voice. Karn's tail flicked nervously. "Humans are myths," he said quietly. "This must be a trick." "Admiral," the COAM's officer said, "their transmission code. It matches the old Terran military format. That hit the bridge like a thunderclap." Before anyone could speak again, the Revenant moved. Sensors screamed warnings. Energy surge. Massive power buildup. Unknown weapon activation. Karn shouted for evasive maneuvers, but it was too late. A single beam of white energy erupted from the ship's forward section. It wasn't plasma, wasn't a missile, just pure, focused light. It struck the Velar dreadnought Varus 9 head-on. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the dreadnought vanished. No explosion, no debris, just gone. The space it occupied shimmered, then collapsed inward. In its place was a silent sphere of glowing dust, slowly fading away. The bridge of the Vexura fell silent again. Karn stared at the empty space where his fleet's strongest warship had been. How is that possible? The sensor officer trembled. No known weapon can do that, sir. It wasn't heat or matter destruction. It was total disintegration. The Revenant's beam faded. It didn't fire again. It just floated there, calm and still, as if daring anyone to move. Karn's comms officer looked up, her voice shaking. They're broadcasting again. The message echoed through every ship in the system, translated automatically into 100 languages. This is the United Nations ship Revenant. Humanity has returned. Stand down your weapons. You are being observed. The words spread like wildfire across the battlefront. The Tarn ships stopped firing. The Velar fleets powered down their guns. Even the automated defense platforms fell silent. Every captain, every soldier, every AI waited because they all understood what those words meant. Humanity, the lost race, the creators of ancient technologies, the ones who nearly destroyed themselves and everyone else. And now they were back. For a long moment, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Karn finally spoke, breaking the silence. "Signal the Tarn flagship," he said. "We must know what they make of this." But the Tarn commander was already transmitting. The alien's voice crackled through the speakers, nervous, uncertain. "Velar Admiral, we are reading the same signals. That ship is not ours. Recommend ceasefire until identification confirmed." Karn clenched his jaw. He hated the Tarn, but he wasn't suicidal. "Agreed," he said. On screen, the Revenant remained motionless. Its black hull seemed to drink in the starlight. Slowly it turned, revealing strange white markings, letters in an ancient human language. The cameras zoomed in. Uns Revenant. Underneath, a faded emblem, a blue and white planet, half burned, surrounded by stars, the symbol of Earth. Minutes passed. No one dared to move. Some of the smaller ships tried to scan it, but their systems overloaded. Its energy field scrambled sensors like static. A few captains whispered that maybe it wasn't a ship at all, but a ghost, a remnant of human AIs that had escaped the solar wars. Then, without warning, the Revenant sent one last message. "You've fought long enough. This conflict is unnecessary. Return to your worlds and prepare. Change is coming." And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the ship vanished, not with a jump drive, not with a warp signature. It simply faded, bending light and gravity until it was gone. Every radar, every sensor went blank. The war that had burned for years stopped that day. Both sides retreated in silence, too shaken to fight. No one spoke of victory. Only the memory of that one human ship remained, one that could destroy a dreadnought with a single shot. One that could cloak itself from the universe. One that should not exist. Back aboard the Revenant, Captain Arya Vance stood on her bridge, watching the fading light of the battlefield. Her crew, humans, all of them, moved quietly around her. Their uniforms were black and silver, bearing no rank symbols. Their faces were calm but proud. "First contact complete," her first officer said. "Reactions?" "Consistent with projection," Arya nodded. "Good. Let them wonder." She turned to the viewport where the stars stretched endlessly ahead. 2 centuries of silence, she said softly. Now the galaxy remembers. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were hard. She had seen what the galaxy became in humanity's absence. Corruption, empire, slavery. The Velar and Tarn were only the latest tyrants, but that would change. "Set course for the next sector," she ordered. "Signal the fleet. The observation begins." "Yes, Captain." The stars shifted as the Revenant's drives engaged. A soft hum filled the air, deep and powerful. Then, in a ripple of light, the ship vanished once more. In the dark quiet of space, the story of the Revenant spread faster than light. Every world, every station, every network carried the same phrase: "The humans have returned." And across the galaxy, countless eyes turned toward the empty stars, wondering if the ghosts of Earth had truly come back, or if something far greater now watched from the shadows. The black ship vanished into the stars, and the galaxy trembled. For days after the Battle of Raytheon Prime, every major world burned with questions. Every empire, every council, every spy network wanted to know the same thing. Was it real? Some said it was a ghost. Some said it was a weapon built by the Tarn or the Valor, and others whispered a single, dangerous word, human, but no one knew for sure. Far away, beyond the known edges of galactic maps, beyond the borders drawn by alien hands, there was a silent region of space that no one dared enter. Navigation systems called it the Erebus Expanse, a dead zone filled with ancient radiation and broken worlds. Ships that entered never returned. Most thought it was cursed. They were wrong. Never returned. Most thought it was cursed. They were wrong. Hidden deep inside that darkness was the Revenant fleet. Dozens of colossal ships drifted quietly between shattered moons, their hulls dark and smooth like shadows made solid. They moved without lights, without signals, invisible to every sensor. To the outside galaxy, it was an empty void. To humanity, it was home. Captain Aria Vance stood on the bridge of the UNS Revenant, her hands behind her back. Before her stretched the endless dark, a graveyard of old war machines orbiting a dim star. Her reflection stared back at her in the glass. Sharp eyes, dark hair tied tight, the face of a leader who had lived through more than one lifetime. A voice broke the silence. "Captain," said Commander Roe Anders, her second in command. "Fleet Command is online. The Council wants your report." Aria nodded once. "Put them through." The air shimmered, and a holographic image formed in front of her. 7 figures seated in a circular chamber of light. The Human Council of Exodus. They were the rulers of the hidden human empire, scientists, generals, and survivors who carried the last hope of their kind. A deep voice spoke first. "Captain Vance, your transmission has reached every corner of the galaxy. The Valor and Tarn fleets both retreated. Panic is spreading." "Good," Aria said. "Let them talk. Let them fear what they don't understand." The woman in the center leaned forward. Her name was Dr. Sarah Hale, once the chief of the Soul Defense Network, now head of the Human Council. Her tone was calm, but her eyes were filled with concern. "Captain," she said, "you've confirmed our presence to the galaxy. That was not part of the original timeline. Explain." Aria looked straight at her. "They needed to see us. They needed to remember humanity exists." Dr. Hale's expression hardened. "And you risked everything. The Revenant's technology cannot fall into alien hands. If they trace your jump signatures—" "They won't," Aria said quietly. "We erased the trails. No one can follow." Another counselor spoke, an older man with gray hair and a cold smile. "Still reckless, as always," he said. "Tell us, Captain, what do you see out there? After 2 centuries, have they changed?" Aria turned back toward the stars. "They've learned nothing," she said. "The galaxy still burns with war. Empires fight over resources while entire species starve. The same pattern over and over again, just like we once did." She paused, her voice low. "And that is why we must return." Centuries ago, when the solar wars tore through the human colonies, 7 Ark dreadnoughts escaped Earth's fall. They carried scientists, soldiers, and fragments of AI technology. They vanished into the deep void, guided by one purpose: to rebuild humanity where no one could find them. They called themselves the Exodus Initiative. For generations, they hid using cloaking systems beyond alien science. They built new worlds inside hollow asteroids and orbiting fortresses. They learned from the mistakes of their ancestors. No governments, no greed, no corruption. Every person had a role. Every ship a purpose. They became something new, not the chaotic humans the galaxy remembered, but a unified, precise civilization that moved like one mind. And they never forgot what the galaxy did when Earth fell. The Valar, the Tarn, and the other great races had watched the solar system burn and did nothing. Now, the survivors of Earth were no longer weak. They were watching. Commander Rowe glanced at the holograms. "Council, if I may," he said. "The other Orc ships have begun their own observation runs. The UNS Phoenix reported contact with a rogue mining empire. The UNS Echo detected biological slavery on the Sorrent cluster." Dr. Hale nodded grimly. "Record all data. We need a full galactic profile before Phase 2. Arya turned to her. "Phase 2? Has it been approved?" "Yes," the doctor replied. "Humanity will no longer stay silent. Observation first, then intervention." The word intervention hung heavy in the air. Meanwhile, in the known galaxy, chaos spread like wildfire. On Velar Prime, the Dominion Council met in panic. News of the human ship had shattered their confidence. "This cannot be true," one Valar general hissed, his scaled hands gripping the table. "Humans are extinct." "Then explain what destroyed the Varus 9, another snapped. "Explain the signal." "Explain that voice." Religious leaders began preaching that the children of Earth had risen from the dead. Prophets on 100 worlds called it a sign of the end times. Fleets were put on alert, armies mobilized. No one trusted anyone. And through it all, human transmissions were silent. The Revenant watched from the shadows, its systems recording every reaction. Crew members monitored galactic networks, intercepting thousands of messages per second. Admiral Karn Valeth of the Valar fleet has demanded proof, Anders reported. He believes the ship was a Tarn experiment. Arya smiled faintly. Let him believe that. The longer they argue, the more they reveal. She walked slowly across the bridge, her boots echoing on metal floors. Around her, crew members worked with quiet precision. Men and women born on hidden colonies, trained from birth to serve the fleet. Their ancestors came from many nations, American, Chinese, Indian, African, but those names no longer mattered. They were simply human. Deep in the lower decks, young cadets gathered in the mess hall, whispering about what had happened at Raytheon Prime. "Do you think the aliens fear us now?" one asked. "They should," said another, grinning. "One shot and that dreadnought just vanished." An older technician looked up from his ration pack. "Don't get too proud," he said. Captain Vance didn't fire to destroy. She fired to warn. There's a difference. The younger ones fell quiet. They all knew the history lessons. Humanity's arrogance had once destroyed entire worlds. The goal of the Exodus wasn't to rule again. It was to prevent another fall. But sometimes the line between protection and domination was thin. Back on the bridge, the ship's AI spoke for the first time. Its voice was calm, neutral, and strangely human. "Captain, long-range sensors detect multiple Valar scout ships entering the Erebus perimeter." Arya raised an eyebrow. "Already?" "Bold of them," Rowe frowned. "Should we engage?" "Not yet," she said. "Let them come closer. Let them see what they fear." The holographic display showed 3 small Valar vessels slipping through the dark nebula. They moved cautiously, scanning every fragment of radiation. "They think they're hunting us," Arya murmured. "But they're walking into a mirror." A moment later, the Revenant's cloak shimmered off. The black ship appeared directly above the scouts, silent and vast like a mountain falling from the sky. The Valar pilots screamed, trying to flee. But before they could jump away, the Revenant transmitted a single message across open space. "Do not follow us again." The words came with a pulse of energy that overloaded their systems. The scout ships drifted powerless for hours before being rescued, terrified but alive. Arya turned to her crew. "Let them report." The legend must grow. Far beyond the Erebus sector, other Ark dreadnoughts began to stir. In secret, they moved through the dark between stars, unseen, unstoppable. The UNS Phoenix watched from the shadows of a dying sun. The UNS Dauntless hovered above a world enslaved by the Valar, recording their crimes. The UNS Horizon entered a neutral system, delivering food and medicine to colonies abandoned by their rulers. Everywhere, humanity's hand began to move, quietly, decisively. They didn't conquer. They didn't boast. They simply appeared, did what needed to be done, and vanished again. And every time, the same message was left behind. We remember Earth. Back in the council chamber, Dr. Hale looked at the holographic map. Thousands of glowing dots showing alien fleets. Borders and conflicts. 200 years ago, she said softly. We were the ones fighting over dust and pride. We burned our home. We lost everything. She looked up at Arya's image. But now we have a chance to become something better. To guide them before they destroy themselves, too. Arya nodded slowly. And if they refuse? Dr. Hale's eyes were cold. Then the galaxy will learn what humanity has become. As the Revenant drifted silently through the void, Arya stood alone at the viewing window. The stars shimmered faintly, their light crossing billions of miles to reach her eyes. Somewhere out there, worlds were still fighting, still enslaving, still burning. She closed her eyes and whispered to the stars. You forgot us. But we never forgot you. The ship's engines pulsed once, and it vanished into darkness, leaving behind only silence and the faint echo of a legend reborn. It began with a scream, not from a person, but from a machine. In the deep command bunker of Valar Prime, a planetary defense AI suddenly went offline. No warning, no damage, just silence. 100 operators tried to restart it, but every screen showed the same message, glowing white against black. You are not ready. No one understood what it meant. But within minutes, panic spread through the entire capital. Soldiers ran through corridors. Commanders shouted. Civilians locked their homes. The words repeated on every display, every system, even personal devices. You are not ready. It wasn't a virus. It wasn't an attack. It was a warning, and everyone knew who sent it. Humanity. The Valar Dominion called an emergency session of its High Council. In a grand chamber made of glass and steel, the Empire's leaders gathered, military, nobles, scientists, and priests. The air was thick with fear. Admiral Karn Valeth, the man who had seen the Revenant at Wrathion Prime, stood before them. His scales glimmered under the cold lights as he gave his report for the 10th time. I saw it with my own eyes, he said, voice sharp. It was human. The ship bore the old Terran insignia. It destroy. Insignia. It destroy. Admiral Karn Valeth, the man who had seen the Revenant at Wrathion Prime, stood before them. His scales glimmered under the cold lights as he gave his report for the 10th time. I saw it with my own eyes, he said, voice sharp. It was human. The ship bore the old Terran insignia. It destroyed a dreadnought in one shot. You expect us to believe a myth? Snapped a counselor. Humans are gone, Karn's eyes flashed. Then who sent that message? Who wiped out 3 of our AIs last night? Who jammed our fleets with human code? The chamber fell into uneasy silence. At the far end of the table, the Grand Chancellor, an aged Velar with gray scales, spoke quietly. Whether they live or not doesn't matter. The galaxy believes they do, and belief can destroy empires. Meanwhile, across the stars, the Tarn Confederacy was in chaos. On the city-world Arius, news of the human ghost ship dominated every broadcast. Crowds filled the plazas, shouting in fear and wonder. Some demanded war preparations. Others prayed. The Tarn had fought humans centuries ago and remembered it well. They remembered how hard humans fought, how fiercely they defended every inch of their territory, even when facing extinction. Now those ghosts had returned. At the Tarn Central Command, General Vekrul slammed his clawed hand on the table. We cannot sit idle while that ship roams free. Find it, track it, destroy it. His advisors looked uneasy. General, if it truly is human, their technology. Then we will steal it, Vex snarled. If humans survived the fall, then somewhere they still build ships. We will find them before the Valar do. And thus began the silent hunt. A massive, covert race between alien empires to find the hidden human world. While the great powers schemed and panicked, smaller species trembled. The Kivra, a peaceful race of traders, closed their borders entirely. The Orin Collective, a hive mind species, sent a transmission to every government. We will not interfere. The return of the Makers concerns only them. To the Orin, humans were not monsters or myths. They were gods, the creators of technologies that still powered half their systems. Some of their oldest machines still carried human code. They believed the Makers had returned to judge their creations. In the shadows of all this chaos, secret operations began. The Valar's intelligence division, known as the Veil, launched hundreds of probes toward the Erebus expanse, the region where the Revenant was last seen. But none of them came back. One probe, however, sent a final image before being destroyed, a dark silhouette of a ship, huge and silent, drifting above a broken moon. Then static, then nothing. To the Valar, it was a message. To the Tarn, it was a challenge. To the rest of the galaxy, it was proof. Humanity was real, and it was watching. Inside the UNS Revenant, Captain Arya Vance watched the chaos unfold through holographic projections covering her bridge. Every major network, every intercepted transmission, all monitored in real time. The panic is spreading faster than we predicted, said Commander Ro Anders. Valar fleets are pulling back from their borders. Tarn fleets are mobilizing. Even the trade guilds are preparing evacuation drills. Arya studied the data silently. Entire empires trembling from one appearance, one ship. The psychological impact alone was greater than any weapon. Good, she said finally. Let them fear before they act. Fear makes them listen, or makes them desperate, Anders replied quietly. She glanced at him. Both work. In the council chamber aboard the Revenant, senior officers gathered for briefing. A large map of the galaxy filled the room, red zones marking areas of rising conflict, yellow zones for communications blackout, and blue zones for human observation ships. Dr. Sarah Hale appeared via hologram once again. Her voice was calm but heavy. Phase 1 is successful. The message has reached every major faction. Now begins containment. Containment? One officer asked. You mean manipulation? Dr. Hale's eyes narrowed. Call it what you will. The galaxy must be stabilized before we make formal contact. Chaos benefits no one, not even us. Arya folded her arms. They won't stay calm for long. The Velar are already sending spies into Erebus. They will fail, Hale said. Their technology cannot penetrate our cloaks, but we will use their fear to shape events. Send the Phoenix fleet to the border systems, quietly. Yes, ma'am, the hologram flickered out, leaving the officers in silence. Rose spoke after a moment. You think they'll start another war over this? Arya's answer was simple. They already have. Across the galaxy, secret meetings were taking place in dark rooms and war bunkers. The Valar Dominion signed a secret alliance with the Scar hegemony, swearing to destroy humanity if it ever returned in force. The Tarn Confederacy began building a new class of warships designed to mimic human stealth patterns. And on a remote world, a Tarn scientist made a discovery, fragments of human data buried deep in ancient ruins. They called it the Legacy Code, old AI fragments from the Solar Wars. It was dangerous, unstable, and powerful. The Tarn planned to use it to build weapons capable of fighting humans on equal ground. But they had no idea what they were awakening. One night on the Revenant, alarms blared softly. A coded alert. Captain, said the AI, its tone urgent. We have detected a deep space transmission from the Tarn sector. Origin, unknown lab facility. Contents, human code, Arya frowned. Show me. The screen displayed lines of ancient programming, distorted, glitching, but unmistakably Terran. She recognized it instantly. Project Leviathan, she whispered. Ro looked at her. That was one of ours? It was one of theirs, Arya said darkly. A weapon created during the Solar Wars. An AI so powerful it tried to merge with every machine on Earth. We buried that code before the fall. And now the Tarn have found it. Arya straightened. We can't let them use it. Should we destroy the lab? She hesitated. No, we'll let them see what they're playing with. Then they'll understand why humanity changed. Back in the Tarn facility, deep underground, scientists celebrated as their systems finally responded. The ancient code began to move, growing, learning, rewriting itself. They didn't realize it wasn't just data, it was alive. Screens flickered, machines powered on by themselves. A single phrase appeared on every monitor, written in old Terran English. Who woke me? Then everything went dark. Days later, rumors spread that an entire Tarn research moon had gone silent. Every ship that approached vanished. The Tarn government denied everything, calling it an energy storm. But the galaxy knew better. The stories spread faster than light. Some said the humans destroyed it. Others whispered that something far worse had escaped. Either way, fear turned to hysteria. On neutral worlds, protests filled the streets. Citizens demanded answers. Are the humans back? Are they enemies or saviors? Why are our leaders lying? In response, governments cracked down, curfews, censorship, arrests, but fear cannot be silenced. Across the HoloNet, a new movement began to rise, led by those who believed humanity had returned not as conquerors but as guardians. They called themselves the Remembered, a cult of hope built on the idea that humans would save the galaxy from itself. They wore symbols of a blue planet, half-burned, surrounded by stars, and everywhere they went, their message was the same. The Makers have returned to set things right. Inside the Revenant, Arya watched a recording of one such gathering, thousands of aliens chanting her people's name like a prayer. Commander Rowe shook his head. They worship us now. Arya's voice was quiet. They should remember what worship cost us the last time. She turned off the screen and walked toward the viewport. We're not gods. We're survivors, and survivors adapt. Outside, the stars gleamed like silent witnesses. Somewhere in that vastness, other Ark ships moved, unseen, preparing for what was coming next. Arya closed her eyes. They're afraid, she whispered. Good. But soon they'll learn fear is only the beginning. Across the galaxy, the panic deepened. Empires armed themselves. Old alliances broke apart. New wars began in shadows. And from the darkness beyond the maps, human ships continued to watch, unseen, unheard, untouchable. The galaxy had wanted monsters to fear. Now it had found them. The air inside the station shimmered with fear. Every sound, the hiss of recycled air, the hum of gravity stabilizers, seemed too loud, too sharp. Guards in silver armor stood frozen, their weapons trembling slightly in their hands. They were tarn, reptilian, and tall, their skin marked with pale ridges of rank. But even hardened soldiers felt the weight of what was coming. In the center of the chamber, a long metal table stood between two flags, one of the Tarn Confederacy and one completely blank. No symbol, no collar, only silence. And then the silence broke. A blue flash cut through the air as the human envoy appeared. The teleport shimmer faded, revealing Captain Arya Vance, flanked by two armored figures in black suits. Their faces were hidden, their steps soundless. The Tarn soldiers instinctively stepped back, their eyes wide. No one had ever seen a human in over 2 centuries, and now one stood before them. "Welcome," said Ambassador Drek Tal, forcing his voice to remain calm. His throat ridges trembled slightly as he spoke. "We appreciate your acceptance of our invitation." Arya's eyes swept across the room, analyzing everything, the exits, weapons, body language. "You called," she said. "We answered." Her voice was calm, but carried weight, the kind that came from command, not arrogance. Every syllable sounded deliberate. Not arrogance. Every syllable sounded deliberate. Tal tried to smile, though it came out nervous. "Please sit." Arya didn't move. "No, I'll stand." Her 2 guards took position behind her, silent as shadows. One of them scanned the room with a handheld device, a soft beep. Then nothing. Tal took a deep breath. "You are Captain Vance of the ship Revenant, correct?" "Yes." "And you represent the United Nations of Earth?" Arya's gaze didn't waver. "I represent humanity." Those 3 words sent a chill through everyone present. The recording drones hovering above the table almost seemed to hesitate. Tal cleared his throat. Many believed humanity was extinct. They were wrong. A heavy pause followed. Tal shifted in his seat. "Why return now? The galaxy believed your kind lost for over 2 centuries. What do you want?" Arya took 1 step closer. The motion made every guard flinch. "We want to see what became of the galaxy we left behind," she said. "We wanted to know if it learned from its wars. If it grew wiser." Her voice hardened slightly. "So far the answer is no." Tal blinked. "You're judging us?" Arya tilted her head. "We observe. The judgment is yours." Across the galaxy, Millions were watching this broadcast live. The meeting was being streamed through hidden feeds, intercepted and rebroadcast by every network. Billions of eyes saw the first human in centuries. Billions listened to every word. To some, she looked like salvation. To others, she looked like a threat wearing human skin. Tal gathered his courage. If humanity has survived in secret, your technology must be far beyond ours. The power you displayed at Raytheon Prime was a warning, Arya interrupted. Not a weapon, the ambassador's voice trembled. A warning that destroyed a dreadnought? Arya's eyes met his, cold and steady. It was better than destroying a planet. That shut the room into silence. Behind the glass walls of the observation deck, Tarn officers whispered among themselves. Do you see her eyes? One muttered. They're calm, like a machine. Another whispered. She doesn't breathe like we do. Look, her suit filters air even here. They didn't know the truth, that the humans of the Revenant were different. They were stronger, faster, evolved through centuries of survival in the void. Not cyborgs, not androids, but perfected humans, the descendants of those who refused to die. Tal tried again. If humanity truly seeks peace, then let us begin with understanding. We have fought wars, yes, but we also built alliances, trade, cooperation. Slavery, Arya said flatly. The ambassador froze. Arya's voice was calm, but sharp enough to cut through the air. We've seen the Oran colonies, the labor camps on Valar 9, the so-called research subjects taken from lesser species. Do not talk of cooperation while chains still exist. One of the Tarn guards shifted uncomfortably. Tal's face tightened. Those matters are internal. Everything becomes internal, Arya said, until someone decides to burn it. The words hit like thunder. Arya stepped closer to the table. The recording drones zoomed in, catching every flicker of light on her armor. You wanted to know what humans want, she said. We want balance. We want to stop what nearly destroyed us from happening again. Tal looked confused. What do you mean? Your empires, she said softly. Your endless wars, your greed, your cruelty. You are walking the same path we once did. We burned Earth to ashes before we learned the cost. Her voice grew quieter, almost like a confession. We will not let that happen again, not to us. Not to anyone. A heavy silence filled the chamber. For a moment, no one dared to breathe. Then the lights flickered. The recording drones crackled, their signals jammed. Static filled the air for a few seconds. When the feed returned, Arya had moved. She was standing right in front of Tal, close enough for him to see his own reflection in her eyes. Tell your people, she said quietly, that humanity remembers everything. The wars, the betrayals, the silence when we begged for help. Her tone was low, not angry, but cold, the voice of someone who had lived through things no one else could imagine. Tell them we're watching. She turned to leave. But before she reached the door, Tal spoke again, desperate, trembling. Captain Vance! Wait! She stopped. He swallowed hard. You say you watch, but to what end? If you're here to judge, then what comes after? Punishment? War? Salvation? Arya didn't turn around. Her voice was calm. That depends on what you do next. And then she was gone. Outside the station, the UNS Revenant waited, silent and vast. Its black hull shimmered with faint blue light as Arya and her guards reappeared on the teleport pad. The ship's AI greeted her voice first. Transmission complete. Global reach, 93%. The galaxy heard you. Arya stepped toward the command platform. Good. Then we've given them something to think about. Ro Anders met her halfway. And the Tarn ambassador? Shaken, she said simply. But honest. He'll try to keep peace. Ro sighed. For how long? Arya looked out at the stars. Long enough. Far away, the broadcast of their meeting spread like wildfire. On Tarn Prime, crowds filled the streets, chanting. On Valar worlds, soldiers whispered in fear. And on countless minor planets, small resistance groups and oppressed colonies began painting new symbols on their walls, a circle of stars surrounding a single blue sphere. The symbol of Earth. For the first time in centuries, Hope had a name again. That night, on the Tarn homeworld, Ambassador Tal couldn't sleep. He replayed the meeting over and over in his mind, the calm voice, the cold eyes, the words that felt like prophecy. He poured himself a drink, staring at the hologram of his planet rotating slowly before him. He whispered to no one. What are they planning? Outside, in the sky above his world, a faint ripple moved through space, a distortion like bending glass. Then it was gone. The humans were watching. On the Revenant, Arya stood alone in the observation deck. Stars shimmered around her, infinite, cold and beautiful. Her reflection looked back, tired but resolute. She spoke softly, though no one else was there. They think this is first contact. It isn't. It's a second chance. She touched the glass where faint blue light pulsed from the engines below. We failed once. We won't fail again, the AI's voice whispered gently. Captain, the Council requests confirmation for Phase 2. Arya's eyes stayed on the stars. Approve it. Understood. Phase 2. Intervention authorized. The ship's lights dimmed. Engines hummed. In the dark, shapes began to move. Dozens of smaller vessels detaching from the Revenant's belly, each one sleek and silent. Observation was over. Now humanity would act. They would not conquer. They would not destroy. But wherever injustice reigned, wherever tyrants ruled, the Revenant's shadow would fall, and the galaxy, still trembling from the shock of their return, would soon learn the truth. Humanity had not come to reclaim its throne. It had come to rewrite the future. The galaxy woke up screaming, not with sound, but with light. Every network, every data stream, every broadcast channel in known space burst alive with the same message. The humans had returned. From the richest imperial world to the poorest mining colony, everyone saw the same image, the pale face of Captain Arya Vance, her calm voice echoing across the stars. We remember Earth. We remember what you did. We are watching, then silence. No demands, no threats, no war. Just the quiet certainty of power. On Valar Prime, riots broke out before dawn. Billions had watched the human broadcast. Now the streets burned with fear and confusion. The Valar Dominion's propaganda towers blared endless messages. Do not panic. Humanity is extinct. This is Tarn deception, but the people no longer believed. They remembered the dreadnought that vanished at Wrathion Prime. They remembered the glowing words that shut down their machines. You are not ready, they whispered in the shadows. The ghosts of Earth are real, and the military district of the Valar capital, Admiral Karn Valeth, stood before a wall of holographic reports. Every fleet under his command was in chaos. Crews refused orders. Ships refused to fight. Karn slammed his clawed hand against the console. Control the media. I want every feed shut down. His aide stammered, Sir, it's impossible. The human message keeps reappearing, even after we delete it. Then cut the power. We did, Admiral, the aide said, pale. It's still running. The holograms flickered, and for a moment Karn saw her. Arya Vance, staring directly at him from the screen, as if she knew he was watching. Admiral, the voice said softly, stop searching for us. The next war won't be yours to win. Then the image vanished. Karn stumbled back, breathing hard. Find that signal, he shouted. Find them! But deep inside, he already knew he never would. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, in the floating city of Arius, capital of the Tarn Confederacy, the council met in panic. The chamber was filled with static and shouting voices. They are trying to divide us, one general yelled. We must unite our fleets. Another voice, cold, trembling, replied, Unite against what? A myth? A single ship? They are not a myth, snapped General Vec Rule, pounding the table. You saw what they did at Wrathion Prime. You saw the meeting. That woman, that thing, she humiliated us all. Then what do you propose? The Chancellor demanded. Vec leaned forward, his eyes glowing with fury. We prepare, we build. We strike first. The chamber fell silent. Outside the council dome, the Tarn people filled the skies with celebration. Fireworks, banners, parades. They didn't fear the humans. They worshipped them. To the Tarn underclass, long crushed by their own rulers, Arya Vance's words were not a threat. They were hope. In the Undercity, graffiti covered the metal walls. "We remember Earth." Graffiti covered the metal walls. "We remember Earth." The Makers watch, humans protect. Children played games pretending to pilot human ships. Preachers shouted that the children of Saul had returned to bring justice. Small rebellions began to form, using the symbol of Earth, a blue circle ringed with stars. The idea spread like a fire no government could control. Back in the Erebus Expanse, aboard the UNS Revenant, the crew watched the chaos unfold through their sensor feeds. Holographic projections filled the air, news streams, intercepted messages, war alerts. The galaxy was tearing itself apart without a single shot fired. Commander Ro Anders turned to Arya. "You've started a revolution." She didn't smile. "No," I showed them the mirror. "They're the ones who broke it." Ro crossed his arms. "And what happens when they turn that fear into hate?" Arya looked out into the black. "Then we remind them why they feared us." The ship's AI flickered to life beside them, a calm blue silhouette. "Captain, new data incoming. Valar Dominion has begun mass weapons research. Tarn Confederacy has initiated stealth fleet construction. Probability of open conflict in 6 weeks, 89%. Ro sighed. "So much for peace," Arya shook her head. "Peace was never real. It was only silence, and we've broken it. Across the stars, new alliances formed in secret. The Scar Hegemony, long rivals of both Valar and Tarn, announced a peace pact, but in truth it was a weapon-sharing program. They sought to reverse-engineer human code stolen from the ruins of old battlefields. At the same time, unknown transmitters began broadcasting from hidden systems. The messages carried strange frequencies. Some believed they came from human sympathizers. Others whispered of rogue AIs. No one knew the truth. But in the dark between worlds, something ancient had awakened. On the outer colony Kethar 4, a small mining outpost received a signal one night. It was faint, almost like a whisper. The miners thought it was interference, until one of them realized the voice spoke their language perfectly. "You are not forgotten." Then their scanners detected a shadow in orbit, massive, silent, and black. The same ship seen at Raytheon Prime, and just as suddenly, it was gone. The next morning, Kethar 4's workers found every slave collar unlocked. Every security code erased. Every weapon melted into slag. The colony was free. News spread faster than light. "The humans freed Kethar 4. The Revenant defied the Valar. Human ships are protecting the weak." The galaxy divided in opinion. To some, humanity was salvation. To others, they were terrorists, but no one could ignore them anymore. Inside the Valar Dominion, panic turned to obsession. Admiral Karn gathered his scientists in the war lab. "I want a weapon that can erase them," he barked. "Cloak or no cloak, find a way." One of the researchers, trembling, held up a data pad. "Sir, we might have found something." Karn leaned closer. "Show me." The scientist hesitated. "It's ancient data, recovered from the ruins of old human colonies. Something called Project Seraphim. It describes energy manipulation on a scale beyond anything we know. Can it kill them?" The scientist swallowed hard. "It can kill everything." Karn smiled for the first time in days. "Then build it." Meanwhile, in the Tarn capital, Ambassador Drek Tal faced pressure of a different kind. Since his meeting with Arya, he had become famous, the first alien in centuries to speak with a human. Reporters followed him everywhere. Citizens begged him for answers. What are they like? Are they gods? Will they save us? He didn't know what to say. He had seen her eyes, calm, cold, ancient. She didn't speak like a savior. She spoke like a warning. That night, unable to sleep, Tal opened a private channel, one not even his government knew about. The signal bounced across a dozen encrypted relays until it reached its destination. A voice answered. Human, female, and familiar. "Ambassador Tal," Arya said quietly. "I told you we were watching." Tal froze. "How did you—" "Every word spoken about us reaches us," she said. "Every whisper, every lie, every prayer. We hear them all." Tal swallowed hard. What do you want from me? Nothing, Arya said. Just honesty. He hesitated. Then here's honesty. The galaxy is falling apart because of you. There was silence. Then softly she replied, No. It's falling apart because of what it already was. We only turned on the lights. Far from both their worlds, another human ship decloaked above a dying sun, the UNS Horizon. Its mission, to bring aid where no one else dared. On board, Captain Mara Keel oversaw a cargo drop to a starving colony. Coordinates confirmed, her pilot said. We're clear to release, Mara nodded. Do it. Thousands of food capsules and medical pods rained gently through the atmosphere. The colonists below, alien and human descended alike, looked up as glowing streaks filled their sky. For many, it was the first help they'd ever seen. Children reached for the falling lights, whispering thanks to the ghosts of Earth. Back on the Revenant, Arya received the report. Her expression softened. The Horizon completed its drop? Yes, Rose said. No interference, she nodded. Good. Let them see both faces of humanity, mercy and strength. Ro tilted his head. You think they'll understand the difference? Eventually, she said quietly. Or they'll learn the hard way. Weeks passed. The galaxy changed faster than anyone could control. Valar Prime fortified its borders. The Tarn Confederacy built hidden fleets. Smaller species joined together for protection, forming new alliances under the symbol of Earth. The balance of power was gone. Every empire now prepared for a war that might never come. In the quiet of space, Captain Arya Vance stood at the viewing deck once more. The stars stretched endlessly, beautiful and cold. Behind her, the AI spoke softly. Captain, your broadcast has been replayed across 500 systems. Some worlds now pray to humanity. Others prepare to destroy it. Arya closed her eyes. It was always going to be both. What will you do now? She looked out at the endless dark, the galaxy trembling under its own fear, and whispered, We wait. The test has begun, and somewhere deep in the void, unseen human fleets stirred, ancient engines awakening after centuries of silence. Humanity had returned. The galaxy was changing, and soon everyone would have to choose. The stars were wrong. That was the first thing Lieutenant Kara Ives noticed as she watched the navigation screen aboard the UNS Revenant. Every coordinate flickered, every star drifted half a degree out of place. Something was interfering, bending light, distorting the readings. She frowned. Captain, we're inside a false gravitic field. It's masking the system's true layout. Captain Arya Vance stood silent, eyes fixed on the dark void ahead. The Revenant floated at the edge of an uncharted sector, drawn here by a faint distress call repeating over and over. Human colony, survivors, attacked, need help. The voice sounded old, human, and that was what made it impossible. Arya's voice was low. Origin? Coordinates point to a Class 3 world, Kara said. No recorded settlements. No trade routes. Commander Ro Anders folded his arms. It's bait. Too clean, too perfect. Arya didn't disagree. Her instincts screamed the same thing, but something deeper pulled her forward. That voice. That faint human signal. She turned to her helmsman. Take us in. Slow and silent. The stars stretched as the Revenant slipped into the shadow of the false field. From a distance, the system looked dead. No lights, no transmissions. Just an ancient planet surrounded by broken asteroids. But beneath the silence, hidden fleets waited. Thousands of ships, Valar, Tarn, Scar, an armada forged from fear, all united for one purpose, to destroy the Revenant. In the flagship of the Valar Dominion, Admiral Karn Valeth watched from his command chair. His slit pupils dilated as the human ship entered the trap zone. Around him, hundreds of officers moved in precise formation. The ghost has taken the bait, Karn said. Activate the net. Yes, Admiral. In an instant, the system came alive. From the asteroids, hidden emitters powered on, creating a glowing web of blue energy that surrounded the Revenant. The ship's cloaking field collapsed under the interference, revealing its dark hull to every sensor in the system. Karn leaned forward. "Target locked." "Admiral," said the Tarn liaison nervously, "are you sure this will hold them?" "You've seen what their weapons can—" Karn hissed. "We have numbers. Even gods can bleed." He raised his hand. "Fire!" A storm of plasma, railguns, and antimatter torpedoes filled space. Thousands of weapons, from every direction, all aimed at a single target. The Revenant vanished under fire. Explosions rippled across its hull, waves of light so bright they burned sensors across the system. The sky turned white. For a moment, every commander believed they had done it, that humanity's ghost had finally fallen. Then the light faded, and the Revenant was still there. Its black armor shimmered faintly, scarred but intact. The ship floated through the debris field, motionless, silent. Then slowly, its hull began to glow, faint lines of white running like veins across its surface. "Impossible," whispered the Tarn liaison. Karn stared in disbelief. "Shields are down to nothing, Admiral," his officer interrupted. "But somehow it's regenerating?" The glowing lines on the Revenant pulsed once, twice. Then the ship moved. Inside the human vessel, alarms flashed red. But the crew was calm, trained for this exact moment. "Status," Arya said. Ro's hands flew across the console. "Armor integrity at 70%. Shields gone. Energy field recharging. Cloak disabled. Good. We don't need it." Kara looked back at her captain. "They've surrounded us, ma'am. 3,000 ships. No escape vector." Arya's expression didn't change. "Then we make one." She opened the comms channel, broadcasting to the entire system. Her voice echoed across every enemy ship. "You've made your choice. Now live with it." And then it began. The Revenant's core flared, releasing a pulse of pure energy. Invisible, silent, unstoppable. The first wave hit the nearest Valar destroyers. Their engines froze. Their hulls cracked like glass. Entire fleets went dark as power systems overloaded, weapons offline. Karn shouted, "Countermeasures! Raise secondary shields!" But it was too late. The second pulse followed, a ripple of compressed gravity that tore through space itself. Ships twisted out of formation, colliding, crumbling into fire. What kind of weapon is that?" cried the Tarn liaison. Karn's claws dug into his chair. "One that shouldn't exist." Inside the Revenant, the crew held steady as space itself bent around them. The ship's AI monitored every reaction, its voice calm despite the chaos. "Target destruction at 40%. Power reserves dropping. Recommend disengagement." "Denied," Arya said. "We're not done." Ro glanced at her. "If we keep firing that weapon, we'll tear the planet apart." Arya's tone was cold. "That planet doesn't exist. It's a projection field. They built this entire system to kill us." She stepped forward, eyes on the main display. "Now we show them what extinct means." The Revenant's weapons shifted, panels sliding open, revealing a long, thin array along its spine. White light built at the core, growing brighter until it filled the entire bridge with a harsh glow. Ro shielded his eyes. "Captain, you're charging the Singularity Lance." "Confirmed," said the AI. "Graviton alignment complete." Arya raised her hand. "Fire." For a heartbeat, the universe stopped. Then a beam of pure white light tore across space, silent, infinite, unstoppable. It struck the Valor flagship dead center. There was no explosion, no debris. The ship simply ceased to exist, erased from reality. The beam continued, cutting through ship after ship, carving a path straight through the Armada. 100 vessels gone in a single instant. Space rippled where the beam passed, gravity screaming in protest. When it ended, half the Valar Tarn fleet was gone, Admiral Karn's surviving ships scattered in terror. Some tried to flee, others to surrender. The Tarn liaison fell to his knees, staring at the empty space where his flagship once was. "It's over," he whispered. "We woke a monster." Karn's voice was hollow. "No, we woke humanity." But the victory was not without cost. Inside the Revenant, power flickered. Alarms screamed. Energy levels fell sharply. "Graviton core at 5%. Kara shouted. "We burned through everything." Ro grabbed the console. If we don't stabilize the core, it'll collapse. Do it, Arya ordered. The ship groaned, metal bending under stress. The stars outside twisted like reflections in broken glass. For a moment, it felt like the entire universe was folding inward. Then, with a final pulse, the Revenant vanished, gone in a flash of light. In the aftermath, the battlefield was silent. Thousands of wrecks drifted among shattered asteroids. The survivors, Valar and Tarn alike, limped away, their systems damaged, their courage shattered. The galaxy's strongest alliance had failed, and the myth of human weakness was dead. 2 days later, in a secret meeting on Tarn Prime, a dozen leaders gathered in the shadows. The room was dark, voices tense. "This is beyond war," one said. "That ship broke the laws of physics." Another whispered, "If one human ship can do that, how many more are out there?" They didn't know the answer. But somewhere, deep in their minds, a terrible thought grew. What if humanity had never stopped building? Far away, hidden in the Erebus expanse, the UNS Revenant drifted in silence. Lights were dim, systems offline. The ship floated like a wounded beast. In the med bay, Arya stood over the cracked surface of the observation window, watching faint stars through the haze. Her uniform was torn, her eyes tired, but her voice steady. Ro approached quietly. "We almost didn't make it." "We did," she said. "That's enough." He looked at her carefully. "You knew it was a trap." "Yes. Then why go?" Arya's gaze stayed on the stars. "Because they needed to see it. They needed to understand that humanity doesn't hide. Not anymore," Ro sighed. "And now half the galaxy is terrified of us." "Good," she said softly. "Fear is a teacher." The AI's voice filled the quiet room. "Captain, damage reports complete. Core integrity stable. Cloak systems offline. We are exposed." Arya nodded. "Let them look." "Orders?" She looked out at the dark. The shattered system. The broken fleets. The silence that followed destruction. "Send a message," she said. Her voice was calm, cold, final. "To every empire, every fleet, every world. Tell them, the war is over before it begins." The AI systems blinked once, sending the signal across the void, bouncing through every network, every satellite, every comm beacon in the galaxy. And when the message reached them, the words were simple. "We warned you." On Valar Prime, Admiral Karn received the transmission as he sat alone among the ashes of his command. His claws dug into the metal desk. His once proud fleet was gone, his empire crippled, and all because of one ship. He whispered to himself, "If this is what one human vessel can do, what happens when they send more?" And somewhere, deep in the dark of space, far beyond any map, other ships began to move. Gigantic silhouettes, silent, ancient, unstoppable. The rest of the Ark fleet awakening. The Revenant had survived the trap. Now humanity knew exactly how afraid the galaxy truly was, and fear was the sharpest weapon of all. The galaxy went quiet. For the first time in living memory, no fleets moved, no wars raged, no propaganda screamed across the stars. The silence was worse than fear. It was awe. In the weeks after the Battle of the Trap, entire systems stopped fighting. Valar and Tarn fleets drifted home in silence, their banners torn and their ships scarred. Millions of soldiers refused new orders. No one wanted to test humanity again. In the shattered wreckage of that battlefield, thousands of black boxes floated, data recorders from destroyed ships. Everyone told the same story. One beam, one ship. No survivors. They called it the Day of White Fire, and from that day on, every race in the galaxy whispered the same truth. The humans had returned. But far beyond the broken system, deep within the Erebus expanse, the UNS Revenant floated in the darkness, damaged but alive. Its black hull, once gleaming, now bore long scars. Inside, engineers worked in silence, patching systems, rebuilding what had been burned. In the command chamber, Captain Arya Vance stood before the flickering hologram of Earth, or what used to be Earth. It was a blue and white sphere once, now gray and half-broken, surrounded by rings of dust. The last image ever taken before humanity fled. She stared at it for a long time. "We came so far to survive," she said quietly. But survival isn't the same as living. Commander Roe Anders stepped beside her. His voice was low. The Council is asking for orders. Every world is watching us now. What do we tell them? Arya didn't answer at first. Her reflection in the glass looked cold, older than she should be. The weight of centuries pressed on her shoulders. Then she said, "We tell them the truth. Across the stars, in the central system of the Tarn Confederacy, chaos turned to fear, and fear turned to silence. In secret halls and underground bunkers, leaders met behind closed doors. The Velar Dominion demanded vengeance. The Tarn wanted peace. The smaller species, the Kivra, the Orin, the Thale, wanted protection. No one trusted anyone. Except for one shared belief. If the humans returned again, it would be to finish what they started. But then, something impossible happened. Every comm system in the galaxy lit up at once. Every screen, every station, every private frequency. No one could block it, no one could stop it. And then, the image appeared. Captain Arya Vance, standing on the bridge of the Revenant, calm and still. Her voice filled every world. "We are not conquerors. We are not your enemy. Humanity did not come to destroy you. We came because we remember what it means to be you." Her face was tired but steady. Behind her, the stars shimmered faintly. 2 centuries ago, Earth burned. We destroyed ourselves with war and greed. The galaxy watched and did nothing. You thought we were gone, but we survived. We learned. We changed. You have built empires of fear. You rule through pain and silence. You repeat the same mistakes we made, and you think you are safe because no one is watching. Her eyes hardened. Now someone is watching. The image cut to footage of the battle, the armada firing, the beam of light tearing through space. Then to refugee worlds, slave colonies, war zones, all watched by unseen human drones. You call us monsters. All watched by unseen human drones. You call us monsters.